People seem to want everything and expect every need to be fulfilled.
What is happening? You're all strangers to me right now, all of you.
You're embarrassing.
And you're exhausting.
It's what we always wanted.
Carrie, Jeff in Las Vegas, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
Thank you for talking to me today about The Nest. What a great,
My pleasure.
I guess you could call it a thriller, right?
Yeah, it's genre bending, isn't it?
It
It's hard
is,
to
it
classify.
And it's funny because, I'm used to you in The Leftovers. I'm used to you in television, but this part presented a leading film role for you. So that's rare in your career, isn't it?
It is. It is extraordinarily rare. As you know, there are so few films that feature women, and there are about, 10 or 12 actresses who are always going to get a crack at those before I do. So it is rare for me to have this opportunity. I'm so grateful.
And your character, Allison, something is not right. The family moves to England. They celebrate farm life, but all of a sudden there's these marriage mind games.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like every marriage, I think. What happens, I think, is that these sort of tacit agreements they've made are starting to erode and become aberrant, and it's coming to a head in a way that they're going to have to renegotiate or get out. And I love, for me, the film feels really hopeful because I think they drop those illusions and they have a place to start again. And so for me, that feels like hope, but I know for some people, they don't have that experience. I think it reveals your own experience of marriage, ultimately.
But one of the consequences is the family becomes strangers to you also.
Yes, they do. And the home that we move into in England becomes a real metaphor for that isolation. And I love the way that Sean is playing with genre, how it feels almost like it's a haunted house, but it's really the family who's, haunting it with their own psychological unwinding. And so I just think he does that really artfully. It's something I really love about Sean's work.
Yeah, because the movie has this feeling of isolation, which we're all going through in times of COVID, and so many people can relate to it. So while I was watching it, I'm just kind of like, I need to breathe.
As a prisoner in their house, and in their relationships. I think a lot of people are having a reckoning in their most personal relationships right now because of that, crucible.
And where do they shoot that country manor? Because it is definitely a character in the movie.
It is. It's outside of Oxfordshire in England. It's from Diana Spencer family, Winston Churchill's family. It's been in that line for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's actually a beautiful wedding venue, but my amazing production team made it look a lot more run down than it actually is. And it really does have, secret passageways and strange noises and really astonishing grounds with all these nooks. And it's just an inspiring place to be.
And your character is a horse trainer. Did you have any experience with horses before the movie?
Well, I grew up in a rural area, so there were horses around, and I'd ridden them, casually on vacation, but never with formal equestrian training. And it's a very specific world, and it was a world that Sean's really familiar with. His mom and his sister were both horse trainers, so it was very important to him that we get the tone of that just right. And I had wonderful trainers. And of course, riding a horse is a really instructive place to be for Allison because it's really grounding. You have to be very present. And that's a great place for an actor to start.
Have you ever had an acting partner like Jude Law? Because your scenes had a very kind of theatrical stage feel to it.
Yes. I hope that's good.
It is, because I'm a big fan of theater, and I felt like I was watching theater.
Yes, and it felt, so often because of the way Sean shot the film, some of the shots were really wide and the camera was far from us, and we would finish, that argument scene, for example, and it really felt like we had been rehearsing a play, that it was just the two of us in the room, and we were able to do it, 12 or 13 or 14 times, just like being in play rehearsal, and it was really satisfying because we're both theater actors, and so that was a really satisfying partnership for me, and I think also for Jude.
And tell me about the experience of taking The Nest to Sundance this year, because I was there. I go every year, and I'm really disappointed that there's not going to be one next year. I mean, usually this time of year, I'm gearing up and ready to go with all my colleagues and everything. But so we did a crazy. I think I did like 40 interviews in January this month.
Wow!
And but tell me about your experience of taking it there.
It was like you say, it was my first time taking a film to Sundance. It was my first time taking it as a leading lady. Normally I'm part of the supporting players. And so for me, it was a really big milestone. And it was a strange weekend. Kobe Bryant had passed that week. So there was this sort of strange pall over the whole weekend, but our movie fit the tone. So I felt like we were actually exactly where we should be. And I've just been so moved by the reception of the film. Not surprised, because of course Sean is an extraordinary filmmaker, but I'm really grateful for all the positive attention we've received, because I really think it's a beautiful film.
I do too. It was a wonderful experience. And thank you so much for talking to me today. And when you have a chance, come visit us in Las Vegas. We'd love to have you.
I will. Thanks for having me.